This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP, the AI native ERP that upgrades right from QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
And now it's time for a segment we like to call Off-Screen Pays the Bills. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Van, what's going on?
Hey, nothing going on but the rent. You know how it is. And the picture of it all is I actually, pay that rent by spending all of my time hauling kit around various screenings. And as you very well know, I go through like bags and backpacks like you wouldn't believe. How many backpacks have you seen me with? How many bags have you seen me with over the years? Like, you've never seen the same one twice, I'm sure.
Been through the rainbow, Van. Been through the rainbow.
through the rainbow. We're very, very lucky this week, though, because Offscreen is sponsored this week by Level 8. So I've been checking out their stuff, which is they are a luggage company who sort of focus on sleek, modernist, an urban kind of aesthetic with the focus dialed up on durability and quality. It's very sexy. It's very cool. It's a New York-based brand, so it kind of fits my whole vibe. You'd be into their stuff, very definitely. Very sexy stuff. And they've got a summer promotion going on at the moment, which you can check out on their site over at Level 8 Cases. That's level number 8 cases.com. And you can get 10% off site-wide using the code L81810. So that's level8cases.com and get 10% off with the code L81810. And now, on with the show. The Evil Dead burn after a Rosebush pruning, and Moana's on life support after shooting the people. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom! Groovy.
Hello, and welcome back to another week of Off Screen, where we have another load of brand new movies to look at with Van. We are going to see what he thinks to Moana, Evil Dead burn, life support. But of course, we'll start, as we always do, with this week's box office top 10 in UK and Ireland. So, at number 10 is Scary Movie. 5 weeks now that's been out. Nearly 9.2, well, just over 9.2 million pounds.
Do you know what? It really feels like that's got to be on streaming any minute, right? Like, it feels like anyone that was going to see Scary Movie has seen it now. And like I say, the stuff in it I'm a fan of, and that's mostly the stuff that's referring to its own continuity, as opposed to, the stuff where they're parodying mainstream horror movies, case in point, the Terrifier, Megan, things like that. There is a great gag, though, early on, where it's established that their version of the Melissa Barrera character from Scream works at a Final Destination theme park, which, that's a good gag to, start me off on a new Scary Movie venture. I don't think it quite delivered on the, the ultimate anti-woke comedy shtick that it was trying for, but I had some chuckles. It's just a shame the chuckles weren't clearly where the filmmakers thought they were going to be, which was, the very unfunny parodies and skits that just didn't have punchlines. But as a Scary Movie fan, I was sufficiently impressed. Well, sufficiently entertained.
Right, well, that's at number 10, and number 9 is Alpha, which has been out for a week, 160,000. You haven't seen this one, have you?
No, I haven't. Now, I'm actually kind of fascinated by this. There wasn't a press show, and had there been, I would have genuinely loved to have gone to this. Right, so this is a sort of Bollywood spy action movie that's like the origins. I've watched the trailer, obviously, for the footage over this, and it's like the origin story of 2 female badasses, the trailer tells us. And it does look like kind of an Expendables type thing, but kind of female-driven. And it's part of something called the YRF Spy Adventure Universe. And the only reason I know this is because they put the logo in the trailer, part of the YRF, Yash Raj Films, Spy Adventure Cinematic Universe. And this is like an MCU to these guys. And I'm intrigued as hell. I got to know more about this.
Number 8 this week, Backrooms. That's been out for 6 weeks now, and it's on just over 12.5 million.
I think we can call this thing one of the success stories of the year. Like, unbelievably, the debut of a YouTuber bringing a, YouTube creepypasta movie to the screen, taking in the amount of money it's done, getting the conversation that it's done, the discourse that it's had, the caliber of talent involved, and just the mainstream exposure this has had. I mean, Kane Parsons probably never going to want for work again. Like, going to get it after this, I would imagine. And I don't think the film is particularly brilliant, but I do think it's a really great debut, so I can see why it's been stuck around, because it is still quite buzzy.
At number 7, got to be careful how I say this, otherwise I get mocked by Van. It's Jackass, best and last. 2 weeks now it's been out and it's sitting on 1.7 million quid. Jackass.
Which, to be fair, like, this is one that is going to find its audience on streaming. I mean, it's one of the things it would have found its audience on DVD back in the day, because that's where Jackass inevitably sort of belongs. Like, Jackass's kind of peak at its prime and its ultimate home is on DVD in the living room of student accommodation. That's where it is to be watched. And obviously this has made some money, but not a huge amount, because the Jackass movies, I'm doing it now, Jackass myself. The Jackass movies never were huge financial kind of juggernauts or anything, but they were cheap to make, so the little profit they made didn't particularly matter. It was all cherry on top. It was all gravy. And that's kind of what's going to happen here. This is going to be a boon title for Paramount Plus, probably about, somewhere in the next 2 to 4 weeks, I would imagine. And that's probably where I'll wind up seeing it, to be honest.
Cheap to make is an understatement. All you need is a portaloo and a crane. We could do our own.
Yeah, we've all got cranes in our back gardens, haven't we, Mr. Ball?
Right, so that was at number 7. At number 6 this week is Disclosure Day. That's been out for 5 weeks now. Nearly 12 million quid that's taken.
Which is just the power of a name, isn't it? It's the power of Senor Spielberg, or Spielberg, as he delivers more of his spiel to us. And this, like I say, it feels like weak Spielberg. It's not like my favourite Spielberg. I mean, what is your favourite Spielberg movie, by the way? Do you have one?
Jaws.
It's Jaws. It's just Jaws. Because you mentioned E.T. to me before we came on, so I don't know if that was in there. Jurassic Park. I don't know. E.T.
is probably my favourite childhood movie of all time. But if I was to pick one of Spielberg's movies, I'd go for Jaws, because I watched that when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and it changed the way I looked at the sea forever.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. For me, it is Jurassic Park. I do think Jurassic Park that's his masterpiece. You should retire after that. I mean, after that, you're in your Imperial era. You can release anything. But that's like, when you made a movie that could just stop, you're never topping that. And Disclosure Day kind of confirms that for you, because this is in the lower half of Spielberg's filmography, but it's more towards the upper mid. Reaching towards the mid in that section, I would say. Good performances, Josh O'Connor, Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, etc. I just thought it was a bit, I've watched this before, I've seen it. I feel like this should be on Apple TV Plus in like 6 parts. It had that kind of feel to it. I mean, even with the name Spielberg on, that still doesn't differentiate anymore, because his name's on every other TV show going now. So that doesn't kind of get you out of it.
Okay, well, there we hear it. An average movie for Spielberg, Disclosure Day, at number 6. At number 5, Obsession. That's been out for 8 weeks now, and it's still in the top 10. Well, it's in the top 5. That's incredible. 17.5 million.
8 weeks, and it's been on digital for 10 days. I have to stress that.
Insane.
This is still in number 5. It's barely moved from number 5 in our top 10, because I don't know if you noticed, but the idents that run this show are coded to like top 10 number 4, top 10 number 7. And I never have to change the Obsession one, because it started out at number 5, and we started doing this, like the video thing, a month ago. It was at number 5. It's still at number 5. I've seen this movie, I think, twice in the past week. Like, at home.
Wow.
I absolutely love this movie. I think this is one of the movies of the year will wind up being remembered for. Like, when we look back on 2026 as a year in cinema, it's going to be the year of things like Backrooms and Obsession. Like the image of Freaky Nikki with the blood on her face and the red top. Like, that is, Why Don't You Love Me? That is going to be the horror movie image of the year. In the same way that, say, like Megan was for a couple of years ago for that year. In the same way that became the defining horror image of that year, I think this year is all about Freaky Nikki and Obsession. I think this thing's an absolute banger. They're throwing weight behind Indy Navarrete for awards consideration for this. I think that is a really solid thing and a good decision. I think there is a chance to, at the very least, have her in the conversation and get the movie even more attention. But I think this will find its love definitely on more independent award circuits, horror circuits, things like that. But I think this will get some love for things like perhaps like original screenplay and things like that, and give recognition give recognition to Kerry Barker for his work behind this. I think it's a really solid movie.
At number 4 this week, the fans are clearly still there for her. It is Supergirl. She's been out 2 weeks now and 4.5 million.
And don't we just love her? She's great in the role. I really like Millie Alcock in the role. I'm not such a big fan of Jason Momoa in it, even though he is just playing Jason Momoa, as I say. But I think the movie's pretty good. I hadn't read the book, actually. I hadn't read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Even though I've got a copy, it's literally sat in the next room. I brought it away with me to read. I've still not gotten to it yet, so I can't really do an accurate comparison. I know they have changed some things. But I think quite a solid enough movie. The problem is it's really never better than solid. It's not great. And Superman had those moments last year where it just so effortlessly wandered the line into, this is great stuff. You know, the sequence with the kids putting up the flag in the desert in Supergirl with the army approaching. With the army approaching. There's nothing close to that in Supergirl, despite there being much more of an emotional hook in, I need to save Krypto from poisoning, you know. So you expect more emotional weight, but it really doesn't have any. The only place it manages to find it is in the internal struggle of Kara to kind of deal with her survivor's guilt, which I would argue kind of would have benefited from a slightly more robust script, if that's the case.
Okay, so that was at number 4. At number 3 this week is The Invite, which has been out for 1 week, £800,000. I mean, I don't know anything about The Invite. We haven't covered that one, have we?
We haven't covered it. This was out last week and I was away, so I couldn't make it to the press show. This is the third film by Olivia Wilde, third film directed by Olivia Wilde, after Booksmart and, of course, most iconically, Don't Worry, Darling, which is regarded as something of a dud now, but I still think had its moments. I think it worked very well. I'm looking forward to seeing this. Say Seth Rogen's in there, I think Edward Norton as well, and Olivia Wilde. I'm intrigued by this. It looks like kind of a sinister behind closed doors couples doing a dinner party thing. I'm not sure if there's a swingers element to it. I'm not sure if that's where it's going, because the trailer is kind of mysterious about it. So I'm looking forward to it in the same way I was looking forward to the drama. You know, like I don't quite know what's to come.
Well, that's at number 3. I'm a bit intrigued about that one now. Number 2, Minions and Monsters. I mean, we all knew it, and it's probably going to be number 1 next week because it's like start of the school holiday soon as well, isn't it? So, yeah, that's been out for 2 weeks now. 4.3 million quid that's sat on.
And do you know what? Really good fun. Like, really, really good fun. It's I think, the second best Despicable Me movie after the original one. I think it's far and away the best Minions movie. I think it's this wonderful love letter to cinema that then has this love letter to old, 40s and 50s monster movies in there as well. A great supporting turn from Jesse Eisenberg as Dort, a sort of world-conquering robot type. And I just had a really good time with it. It's a film I think is just really fun, and weirdly, it's doing this strange thing where it's sort of teaching kids about cinema, because there's like a popcorn bucket that's an old zoetrope with the running horse, the original first bit of ever captured film, and they've added a minion to it, and it works. And I love that they're actually teaching kids this kind of classical stuff of cinema with minions. Like, this turns out to be the greatest ever use of the minions. So I'm a big fan.
Number 1 this week. We knew this was going to happen this week, of course. Toy Story 5, 3 weeks on release now, £38 million almost.
I mean, what can you say to that? I mean, it's a Toy Story movie, so you knew it was going to make some bank. I think I told you before it opened, this will be one of the top grossing movies this year. I think in actuality there is a chance that, given the sort of buzz around it, there's a faint hope that Minions might make a serious amount of money as well, but it does seem to be underperforming. Toy Story, though, I think has that. It still has premium brand shine to it, which, even though we're on the 5th one of these, it's the 5th one in 30 years. So that's, it's like 6 years between Toy Story movies generally. So it's not like they're churning these out at a rate where the quality is necessarily suffering. And this is a better movie than the previous one, than the 4th one. Still a heartwarming in places. It's a little bit disposable at times, and, it doesn't quite make the grand points that I think it thinks it's going for. But it's every bit the Toy Story sequel I wanted it to be. It delivered the emotional beats, it delivered the laughs, and it gave me Smart Buzz. And, Smart Buzz, that's something I never knew I needed in my life, and I certainly didn't know that I needed Conan O'Brien as a toilet training children's toy. That is a thing that cinema gave us this year, and I, for one, will always be grateful.
It's on my list. I know my little boy would love that, as well as Minions, so we've got some movies to watch in the next few weeks. Great. Okay. Well, that was the box office top 10 for the UK and Ireland this week. We've got 2 movies to dive into next. We're going to look at Shoot the People, and we'll see what Van thought to Life Support next. Stay where you are.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix this Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. Okay, 2 more movies to look at. Shoot the People in a second, but first a documentary. I'm always keen to look at documentaries. So this one is called Life Support, Van. That's about all I know.
Well, this is a documentary. I mean, we've had a few of these, to be fair. This is kind of the latest documentary that looks at the lives of, frontline medical professionals, healthcare, and emergency support workers in Gaza. The, Western European doctors who have gone, the risk of their own lives into this absolute war zone just to try and help as much as they can, or as little as they can is often the case here, because we get shown kind of behind the curtain. We get shown what it's like to actually deal with this. They have to put up with dwindling supplies, how much more difficult it's becoming to go in and out, and the things that are taken away from you by the allegedly by the Israeli army as you go in. Because I have to be careful how I rephrase that, obviously. As we are told that, this 40-kilometre stretch of land becomes the most hotly contested, piece of real estate on the planet by I don't even want to say 2 warring factions, because, as it's presented to us in the war, this is about a people under fire and the medical professionals working around them. So I'll tell you what, I've got a clip for you. This is from from Danielle Rugo, I think her name was, Danielle Rugo's documentary, Life Support.
We're telling people what we have seen with our own eyes. Our greatest role is using our eyewitness accounts to advocate for the Gazans and to let the rest of the world know what's going on.
It's difficult to understand unless you come here and see the difference that you make. We always worry when we come here that we might not be of any use, that we might get all our kit confiscated, that we might not have a hospital to go to. But what we always say is the main thing is to come here to bear witness, because you're not seeing what I'm seeing, because there's been a complete block to all media.
Wow. I mean, it's quite horrifying to have seen that, that clip there. How up to date is this?
Literally within this last year. Like there are events in here taking place within this past year, so there are, there's a lot of stuff that will be actually quite fresh in your memory. The vantage point given to us here, obviously, is through the prism of these doctors, of these surgeons, of these people, who do get to go back to their lives periodically, but realistically don't see it as R&R, just see it as a refueling stop to try and get things back into the country with them, and even things that we would take for granted, like literally, cheap poundland knockoffs of children's Crocs and things like that could just make a difference. If there is an issue with the movie, I think it's definitely not to do with pathos or meaning or emotional heft, and I think maybe slightly more to do with there being a lot of this content now, specifically revolving around frontline medical workers. This, for obvious reasons, given the the importance of these people, there is a need to obviously push documentaries that feature them, but it does seem like we're getting a lot of them in the past year. I think I've reviewed 3 in the past maybe 18 months. So it's the luster on this is taken away ever so slightly, and it's not a particularly emotionally resonant one of those. Like, it's not the big meaningful. It's quite pardon the term, clinical at times. But it's when you get into, the actual, having to work in a hospital that's falling down around you and literally where the building is caving in around you. That stuff does still, it still moves you. It's just the film is still kind of a bit too stately for one of these. And I tend to have found as well, it tends to be the documentaries that focus on the medical professionals, where it's not primarily in the English language, where they seem better at wringing out the raw emotion of the scene.
Well, Life Support is in cinemas from now, if you want to go and see it yourself. From one documentary to another. So this one is called Shoot the People. Now this, from what I can make out, is about people that are fighting for equality for LGBTQ plus rights, right?
Yes and no. Okay, right. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of have to be before I was. So he started out. Okay, I should phrase this one out. I'm trying to find the guy's name here. Hang on, cast. His name, Miss Anne Harriman. That was it. I thought it was Miss Anne Harriman. It's Miss Anne Harriman. Was the Oscar-nominated filmmaker and journalist who had covered LGBT protests and riots and things over the years, and of course wound up sort of finding himself around the time of the death of George Floyd in all of the protest movements around George Floyd and the police brutality movements in Minnesota, and what you get here is a documentary that's equal parts biographical doc, supposedly, and a documentary that examines what the allure of activist culture is and what the ultimate goal of activist culture is. I don't personally think that question needs an hour and 26 minutes to be explored, but what do I know? Here's a clip from Shoot the People.
Your energy changes when you're behind the camera. Oh, completely. When I take a picture and I see millions of people be deeply moved by it, that is something I'm very proud of. But I do wonder about the difference I'm actually making. What do protest movements truly achieve if people are still demanding the same basic human rights?
I mean, some quite graphic scenes in the trailer then. So, well, quite hard-hitting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's some phenomenally hard-hitting stuff in here. And, it's actually a pretty, decent little documentary in the way that it explores that. In the way that it explores, for instance, the Black Lives Matter movement, post George Floyd, Minnesota, etc. It's also an unbearable fluff piece. And I mean agonizingly unbearable. Miss Anne Harriman, single-handedly over the course of 86 minutes of this film, proves the old adage that the reason most people aren't liberals is because it would mean they would have to spend time with liberals. And it very much is that. He is one of the most insufferable people. There is a lot of that lilting Stephen Bartlett-style voiceover that you heard there in the trailer with the, yes, I know I come from a place of privilege and I've got these famous mates and I hang out with the rich and famous. Like, people look at me and think my life's amazing, but, that just makes me want to fight harder. And you're like, oh my God, I hate you. Like, I really kind of hate you. And the fact that you're doing this while supposedly making this half-baked exploratory thing of finding the fundamental nature, cause, and point of activism, which, as I said, is not a question that requires 86 minutes of screen time to explore, kind of undercuts any of the emotional resonance of anything that you would otherwise get from this. Honestly, he single-handed... We had this a while ago with that surfer documentary. We started thinking, do you know what? This might be tolerable if you were anywhere, just even vaguely less insufferable. But no, honestly, I mean, maybe it's that he rubbed me the wrong way, but I honestly think if you've got just a functioning sense of decency and consciousness, you will not make it through his, I know I'm rich and I can be seen as rich and famous and successful, blah, blah, without wanting to vomit, because I truly did.
Well, there you go. If you want to make your own mind up, you can go and see Shoot the People in a cinema near you from today. Right, we've got 3 movies left to look at this week. We're going to look at Rosebush Pruning. That sounds more like a documentary. We're also going to look at Moana in a moment and Evil Dead Burn. We'll see what Van thought to those next. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then, with two more movies to look at this week. Moana in a moment, but Evil Dead Burn. I don't know a lot about this, but I've seen bits of the trailer and it does look like it's the sort of movie that's going to make me jump out of my seat. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it will. It really will. It's a horrifying movie. And I say that as a lifelong Evil Dead. Evil Dead is one of the movies that made me love horror. I bloody love Evil Dead. Like, honestly, in the good old days when we all used to rely on our DVD collections and things, we all had, 30 films on a shelf. My pride and joy was the Evil Dead box set. Like, I loved that box. My favourite box set ever. So this would be I think this is the 6th Evil Dead movie. You've got the original Raimi trilogy, remake in 2013, Evil Dead Rise in, I think, 2021 or 2022, and then now we've got Evil Dead Burn, and we've got Evil Dead Wrath, I think, next year as well, which is a period prequel thing. This follows the family, who unbeknownst to them are the family of the original sort of the professor who transcribed the Book of the Dead, who did all the research on the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead, that led to the events of Evil Dead to begin with. When his grandson is then killed, the family unite for, the post-funeral dinner kind of thing. There's a lot of simmering resentment in this family, a lot of old wounds. We're ready to be torn open. And, well, if you need someone to tear a wound open, well, who's better than the Deadites? The evil forces of hell that, rise to the surface, will take over your body and make you do, frankly, obscene things. So there was immense trouble finding a clip for this that didn't, A, contain language, B, wasn't heavily visual. So you were going to have to go with a bit of trailer footage, but here you go. Here's 25 seconds from Evil Dead Burn.
We found something. The Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead.
They don't want me there.
You're part of the family.
Despite my warnings, they read from the book, unleashing demons, and demons, and demons, and demons. God help us.
Tell me, would this work okay as a standalone? Because I can't remember, and I probably haven't even seen most of the Evil Deads.
Ingeniously so. It's actually perfect. In fact, that's kind of the genius of all the Evil Dead movies is, although there is a loose continuity to them, particularly when Bruce Campbell was part of the series, like the Sam Raimi kind of bit has its own continuity. The rest of this stuff really is just using that as a launching off point, just kind of borrowing the basic concept. I mean, Evil Dead Rise was about two sisters in an apartment building. Had nothing to do with, the original events. This is very much the same. There's only that tenuous link that, Grandpa was the translator guy, that otherwise it could just be, Granddad was a kooky, researcher or whatever. It works very well. It is brutal. It is horrifying. It has some really inventive camera work, so really well conceived, imagined, and sort of just realized sequences. These are all built around, one great horror set piece. I think it's the tree in the first movie. It's hacking off his arm in the second, for instance. The third movie, it's just the entire movie. And for this one, the last one was a cheese grater, and this one is a dishwasher. And you will never look at the cutlery drawer in your dishwasher the same way ever again after you see this movie. You will be horrified every time you look at this. In much the same way the last one did that to me in cheese graters, to be really honest. Really solid cast. There's no known commodities here. This is not a movie that has any stars in it, or even really anyone you'd recognise. Like, nobody in the movie's recognisable. But save for the Oldsmobile, that's in the classic Sam Raimi Oldsmobile does cameo in the background at one point. That's like a signature thing of the series. But it is, for my money, this is to the Evil Dead franchise what Curse of Chucky was to that franchise, where it's kind of the perfect stripped-down bubble kind of environment, confined environment, single, self-contained, brutal, horrifying, really gripping story that has more than enough to absolutely win over all of the old fans, but also in the case of yourself, can be shown to someone who knows nothing of this franchise and they just get a damn good horror movie out of it. In a year that has already had absolute banging horror entries like Obsession and Backrooms, this is, I think, still in there as one of the stronger efforts. I think this is an absolute corker.
You just reminded me what you said about dishwashers and the cutlery part, and what you're never going to look at it the same way. That reminded me, Final Destination made me look at the same kind of issue with sunbeds. I've never gone near a sunbed.
Well, that's the kind of thing, isn't it? Like when you've got like an Evil Dead movie, it basically is, in some ways, it is like watching a Final Destination movie. If you've got like a confined environment, it's usually a self-contained environment. To be fair, if you've got 8 characters, or it's usually say 5 or 6 characters in a confined environment, evil's coming for them one by one. You know they're all going to die except the quote-unquote final girl, or Bruce Campbell in the original sense. Bruce Campbell's kind of one of the original final girls. But it's going to be the case of, everyone's going to get picked off one by one. How is it they're going to go? And you look at like that character who's always spending their time around the dishwasher, and you think, you know what, I've got an inkling how that person's going to go. It's that kind of movie. And it absolutely delivers the fun with it too.
Well, Evil Dead Burn is in cinemas from now if you want to go and check it out. All right, then. Let's talk about the Dwayne Johnson return, but he's actually in person this time. It is, of course, the live adaptation of the 2016 Disney animated film, Moana.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Let's just get this one out of the way straight off the bat, shall we? I know this is movies, okay? So nobody is ever going to accuse the movie industry of not trying to make a buck wherever possible. But I think doing a live-action adaptation of a 10-year-old movie that only had its animated sequel last year might be one of the most nakedly cynical exercises in pure capitalism I have ever seen any company try to pull off. Do you know what? We gave Universal and DreamWorks a hard time over that live-action How to Train Your Dragon, and that was actually more time than what was between the animated Moana and this. So I just want to get that done off the back. It's only like 4 minutes to get on this. You know the story. It's Moana, the chieftain's daughter of the island, who seeks to, save her tribe from, the deteriorating weather and conditions by going and enlisting the help of Maui, the demigod, and, returning the heart to the ocean and saving her people. Look, if you saw the 2016 movie, and if you're a human being whose body is made of 2/3 water, odds are you probably did. Because, yeah, it's one of the most streamed things ever. It won Oscars. It's beloved. You don't actually need to see this movie because it is literally word for word, line for line, the same damn movie, up to and including the same damn guy playing Maui. I'm not joking. They've changed nothing. And if you would like proof of that, here is a 26-second clip and see if you can spot a single line of new dialogue in this.
Boat! Gods have given me a boat! And a tiny little human. Well, hello, tiny human. Not too sure why they thought I needed you. You could take back the little human! Oh. I'm gonna eat whatever that is.
It's a chicken. His name is Hey Hey.
His name is Yum Yum when he goes in my tum-tum.
Well, I mean, it's, as we've said, it's live action, but I'm pretty certain there is a lot of CGI in this, isn't there?
Right, that's the thing as well. It's one of those things, it's just like, wait. So you made a How to Train Your Dragon movie knowing full well the environment and the dragon would still have to be computer animated. That seems kind of silly. And then you get to Moana, and it's the same exact problem, where literally the only things that are real... I mean, the funny thing is, it's not even The Rock as The Rock. It's The Rock in a bodysuit. So they've still had to, put him under special effects. Begging the question, why were you doing this except just inviting ridicule for how just nakedly cynical this is? I mean, it's tracking to open really badly. Money-wise, it's tracking to open really badly. And I can't help but see that as blindingly obvious that it would, because nobody on Earth needed this. Nobody except Dwayne Johnson's business manager needed this. Okay, nobody on Earth. It's the same movie, but now the people are live action, everything else is CGI, and for some reason it all looks like it's been shot on a foggy day because the colour is so drained out of it. And it's Moana. It's bloody Moana. You know what I mean? It's blue, it's colourful, it's got, Polynesian colours and stuff like that. Why does it look so drab and ugly? And by the time you get to the shiny song, with the giant lobster, it's a lobster, isn't it? It does shiny.
You're welcome.
No, that one's Maui, is with the shiny, the Jermaine Clement crab thing. And you get to that, you're just like, this just looks hideous. There are some things, Beauty and the Beast taught us that some things should just not be rendered into live action. Like, maybe we should have learnt this with Lumiere and Cogsworth, but we still hadn't really learnt this when we got around to, you know, later movies. Why are you still doing this where you're trying to make everything look as ugly as humanly possible, up to and including your colour grading? I can't particularly slag it off because it's exactly as good a film as the original Moana was, but with the colour turned off. You know what I mean? Can I really like say it's a worse movie? I mean, it is a worse movie because the colour's been turned off, but outside of that, it's the same movie with Dwayne Johnson doing the same lines and Kathleen Langara, I think her name's, as the new Moana, and she's very likeable, but you know the character always was kind of likeable. I have nothing to say on this that I did not say 10 years ago on the first Moana, and that is just the most depressing thing I could possibly say about one of these. I've always been kind of a defender of the Disney live-action stuff.
Well, if you want to check out to see what the live-action Moana really looks like, you can, because it's in cinemas from now. We've got one movie left to talk about. It's called Rosebush Pruning. Sounds like a polite way to say you're shaving your nether region, doesn't it, to be fair? We're going to see what Van thought to Rosebush Pruning in just a sec. Stay where you are.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Hey, I like your new RAV4.
Thanks, yours too.
What does RAV stand for anyway?
To me, it's the Remarkably Advanced Vehicle.
Really? To me, it's the Runway Approved Vehicle for its amazing style.
What about Remarkably Adaptable Vehicle because of its versatile cargo space?
Or Really Admired Vehicle?
Oh, or Really Awesome Vehicle.
It really is the recreational activity vehicle. The stylish 2026 Toyota RAV4 Limited. What's your RAV4?
Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. One final movie to look at this week then, and that is Rosebush Pruning. I don't know a huge amount about this, Van, so I'll hand over to you.
I mean, you actually kind of, you did touch the nail right on the head there where you said it sounds like a euphemism for, yes, I'm reasonably sure that is intentional. Right, so this is a new movie from Kareem News. I'm trying to remember what film it was that I championed him for. It's Firebrand, the Alicia Vikander, Catherine Parr, Henry VIII movie Firebrand. He was responsible for that a few years ago. He's come back with this now, which is described as a dark comedy. I think the second word there is perhaps meant to be in italics or with inverted commas around it, because I didn't laugh once. This is 97 of the longest minutes of my life. And I spent a significant amount of time in Romania in the 90s. So, yeah. Okay, this stars amongst its all-star cast: Callum Turner, Elle Fanning, Lucas Gage, Jamie Bell, Riley Keough, Tracy Letts, and Ms. Pamela Anderson. Not even kidding. It is imagine, if you will, a movie that's halfway between something between Yorgos Lanthimos and Saltburn. In fact, imagine someone really wanted to be Yorgos Lanthimos but decided to make Saltburn in his style. Like, you know, you want to do a cover version of Dream On, but you want to sing it like Ozzy. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird thing. This is about a family of Americans who are living in somewhere in Italy. I forget where in Italy, somewhere in the rich part of Italy. This rich elitist family, all germaphobes, and apparently they're dealing with various different conditions and mental health worries. But because of their affluent lifestyle, they live in relative luxury, in seclusion, kind of an idea. And when Jamie Bell, the sort of most popular of the son of the family, brings his new girlfriend Elle Fanning home, this kicks off a whole smorgasbord of drama amongst the family, all of whom in various different, please try to hold on to your lunch as I say this, all of whom in various different ways seem to be sexually involved with Jamie Bell's character and have come to resent her. So, yeah, bearing in mind everything I just told you, here's a clip.
And her handbag, what sort of handbag does she have?
It's Bottega, I think. I think it's Bottega.
Hannah, is it or is it not Bottega?
Yes, it is Bottega. Jack got it for me as a gift.
And her bosom?
Because I was...
No. Her bosom? Yeah, no. I can't understand why it's wrong for me to ask about her bosom. If I could see, I would have already looked for myself, and I know if it was big or small.
Do you know, if I went to see this movie, I would just find it really bloody weird.
I mean, I honestly sat there for 97 minutes last night just staring slack-jawed at my TV, trying to work out just what the hell I'd gotten myself into. It was an experience. And I should stress, there is not a single member of this cast I don't think is very good. I mean, I arguably like Callum Turner the least of all of this. It is just not a film that works on any level. I can see what you're trying for. You're trying to add a sort of, a racy, incestuous edge to, Saltburn and kind of put it that way, but give it some of that Yorgos sheen and that banter and patois. Everybody needs acting and giving their award season performance and all that. And yeah, no, not a single minute of it works. And the problem is, it's simple A to B kind of functionality isn't engaging. You don't care. Every scene, every single solitary scene of this movie sees you literally begin it with a, what are we following on from again? Oh yeah, that scene, huh? It's that kind of a movie. I found it really unenchanting. And I say, I would watch Tracy Letts dramatically read the phone book. Like, Tracy Letts is like an all-timer performer. I mean, first of all, the man is single-handedly keeping DVD alive. That's worth noting. But I'm a big fan of Tracy Letts. So I was really let down by this. I find the Riley Keough character, for instance, incredibly annoying. It's one of those films where I can see the appeal for the actors because, again, given your award season performance, it's got that Lantimos versus Saltburn kind of a shtick. But I'm sorry, the script simply isn't there. The script isn't there. Your characters aren't likable. Nobody in this is inherently interesting. And no, I mean, I by the end of this, I'd rather someone had pruned me. You know what I mean? I forget the Rosebush, prune me instead. I want no part of this. I thought it was abhorrent. It's not the worst film I've seen this year, because we talked about Citizen Vigilante last week. But you know what I mean? This is one of those like this is like Triangle of Sadness for me. Or what did I call it? Oblong of Pointlessness or something like that. But this is like Triangle of Sadness for me, where this is effortlessly in like the top 10 worst of the year for me. Like at the end, if there are 10 worst films than this, I'm shocked. But yeah, I live to be surprised.
So on IMDb, they should probably remove the tag thriller and comedy from this.
I mean, it's not a thriller. Nothing about this is thrilling. The biggest thrill I had was hitting stop on the remote at the end. There's nothing thrilling.
I thought you were going to say something like the biggest thrill you had was putting your hand in a bag of Revels.
Oh, the biggest thrill I had was hitting stop at the end. I'm not even kidding. When I pressed stop on the right, I genuinely said, oh, thank God, to myself. It was one of those. Did not have a good time with this at all. I mean, I can't think who this is for, who would enjoy it, like who'd find it engaging or interesting. I mean, Maniacs would be the short version, but not fun Maniacs, at the very least.
Well, if you want to check out Rosebush Pruning, probably a good thing to watch just to get out of the heat maybe and have a nap by the sounds of it. It's in cinemas from now. We're not here next week, but we're back in 2 weeks, Van. Do you know anything that we might be looking at in a couple of weeks?
I mean, I know we'll be talking about The Odyssey by then. Because The Odyssey is like the only thing out next. No one's releasing anything opposite The Odyssey. It's like pointless us doing a show because we can't talk about The Odyssey for 40 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? We probably could, to be really fair. But no, so we will save that for when we return on the 24th.
Well, that's it then. That's all we've got time for this week on Off Screen. As I say, we'll be back in 2 weeks, so I'll see you then. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it 7 and we shall return.